real money. I'm just telling you, it ain't real. And the kid does one of these things like, dude, I don't know what kind of dope you're on, but you ain't get my money. And you go, again, you're like, no. Can I please show you something? Let me just demonstrate to you, this money ain't real. I can show it to you. Easy. Imagine for a moment now it is you behind the counter. You did your dance, you got your money, you're 30 minutes away from the house. Dude, you got $5 you get to go home tonight and spend. Yes. The bell rings. You turn around. It's mama. She ain't got no jewelry on now. She's smiling now. She owns Maverick. You're like doing one of these things. She goes, no, no, no. The money's in your pocket. I want you to have it. What? You want me to? I want you to have it. Only she didn't come in alone. She came in with this huge guy. He's wearing sunglasses. She says, here's the deal. We're going to play a little game. Here's the deal. I want you to have $5,000 right now. I want you to have that money, and it is yours. We're going to play a little game. You get to have it for 15 minutes. And at the end of 15 minutes, Leroy here, go ahead, Leroy, show him. Leroy pulls out this SIG 45. Leroy here, in 15 minutes, is going to spill your brains all over the floor of Maverick. You ready for that? An exchange. Let's call it an exchange. 5,000 bones for 15 minutes, and then your brains are all over the bottom of this floor. You all right with that? It's funny, I've given this lecture a lot of places. I've never found a single student that would go 5 bones, $5,000 for 15 minutes, and then their brains all over the floor. But maybe the problem is because of the money. Fine, let's change the amount. 5 mil. Dude, 5 mil? You get 5 mil for 15 minutes and then your brains are on that Maverick floor. Ready, set, go. Hands up for anybody who wants to do that exchange. I don't get to run away with the money. No, you do not. No, you do not. You got 15 minutes and then the reader's going to put your brains all over the floor. You all right with that? 5 mil. No, I don't think so. Oh, well, let's go to 5 trillion. Dude, $5 trillion. Okay, anybody wants to do? Dude, I've given this lecture all over the world. It's funny to me. Nobody puts their hand up. Next time you're ready to say your life don't got no meaning, think about this for even 10 seconds. You just told me you think your life is worth $5 trillion. That's what you just said. That's what you just said. Why? Because the money. It ain't real. I mean, come on, it ain't real. 5 seconds before you flatline. 4, 3, 2, 1. And then it's all done. Do you honestly think you're going to be thinking about money? Do you honestly think LeBron James is going to be thinking about basketball 5 seconds before he flatlines and being the most famous basketball? No. No. How come? Because none of it is real. That stuff ain't real. We're not saying it doesn't exist. Of course it exists. We're just saying it's not real. It's not real. Of course, we think it's real. This is a Scrooge story, isn't it? We think it's real. Right up until 5, 4, 3. I mean, think about Leroy. Pull him back in. All right, you've had your 15 minutes. Now it's time. That's Scrooge, huh? Just one more day, just one more day. Dude, just, no. This cannot be my tombstone. What, do you think he's going to live forever? He had a message from Marley. He had to know he couldn't live to be 200. Funny thing, though. When we live chained up in a cave, we have a tendency to think this stuff is real. Mr. McGee, I have to cheat. I have to cheat because I have to get that grade. No, you do not, because the grade ain't real. What are you talking about, the grade ain't real? I didn't say it didn't exist. I said it ain't real. So you'll get straight A's 5 seconds before you flatline. Will you care at all about that? No, you will not. You will not even be thinking about that at all. Interesting question. This is a Socratic question, by the way. 5 seconds before you flatline, what will you be thinking about? That is a very interesting question. Because whatever you're thinking about, do you remember our little boxes? It ain't going to be that box. It's going to be that box right there. Why? Because that's the only stuff that's real. The people in your life you loved, or you didn't love. The people in your life you took care of, or you didn't take care of. 5 seconds before you flatline, that's what you'll be thinking about. Why? Because that's what's real. That's the stuff in your life that is real. Notice the kid. He says, oh what? Dude, I don't know what you're talking about, but you didn't get my money. And you go, dude, you're not listening to me. I do not want your money. I'm trying to help you. Are you ready for this one now? That dragging out into the light of the sun. They have a word for that. That's called education. Don't confuse that with schooling. No. Your schooling is 100% of what your education is. Your education is a process of overcoming two things: fear and pain. Remember my boy Mikey? You want to learn to ride that bike? I got him a bike with training wheels. He didn't like training wheels. He wanted to be a real boy. I said, learn to ride with the training wheels. He did. He came to me and he said, it's time, let's do it. I said, okay. The day he got out that van with them training wheels off, though, he was like, Daddy, I don't think today's the day. I said, it's perfect. We got sun. We got Mama with the camera. It's going to be awesome. Let's go. My son goes, Daddy, I don't want to do this. I said, why not? Because I'm afraid I'm going to fall down and it's going to hurt something awful. I said, oh, son, you got no idea how bad this is about to hurt. Let's go. See, we have this tendency to forget about learning. We have this, that is why you cannot cheat. Because you remove from yourself the ability to fall. And it's got to hurt bad. Something awful. I said, come on, let's go, boy. On that bike, dude, he's so freaked out. I'm like, Mikey, go home. What? I ain't pushing you around this block. Ain't no way. You got pedal. He's like, he can't even pedal. He's paralyzed. Anytime we start something new, we're horrified. Why? Because it's going to hurt. Why? Because we're going to fail. Aye. That's the way it works. My boy starts pedaling, and then he does it. Of course, you know this story, right? I mean, he knew the curb was there. It's not like the city engineer hadn't put it there a few years earlier. He knew how to use his brakes. He doesn't use his brakes. He jacks. I come running up. I'm like, oh, dude, that was awesome. Let's go. We got to do it again. My boy is really upset. Not at himself for forgetting how to use his brakes. Not at the city engineer. He's what? Mad at? Why? Because I took his training wheels off. I'm the reason he fell. That's the only way you learn. By the way, this is Plato's pedagogy. The only way you learn is for somebody to take your training wheels off and say, go, do it. I don't want it, it's going to hurt. Oh, you got no idea that it's going to hurt. Let's go. Every ball player who's ever heard this goes, I know exactly what you're talking about, because sooner or later, you got to step out there and perform. And that is scary business. What if I screw up? Oh, you will screw up. Well, what if I don't win? Oh, you will not win. That's just the way it works. That's the part of life that's most fundamentally real. That is what's real. Education is a process of learning to discriminate between what is real versus what is fake. Dude, you fall in love with somebody because they're hot, you're going to be sorely disappointed at some point in your life when they ain't hot no more. Why? Because beautiful bodies sag and bag. That's what happens. Look at a supermodel and imagine what she'll look like 200 years from now. You're falling in love with that body, that's what you're falling in love with. Of course, the same is true of that money. Right? Do you honestly think that currency is going to be worth anything in 5,000 years? Probably not. Why? Because it ain't real. It just exists. So now we're ready for the answer to the myth of Maverick. If you're working there, you've been educated. You know what's real. That's why you're kind, by the way, when she walks through the door. Because you treat people with respect, even if they don't treat you with respect. Why? Because that guy hung on a cross and he said, forgive them. Not because they're nasty, wretched people. No. They don't know what they're doing. They're ignorant. They're like children. They don't get it. Give them time. Next time you're insulted, think about that. It's not personal. They just don't understand. They don't get it. You got to learn to forgive them. Why? Because they don't know what's real. They think they know what's real. That's called belief, opinion. They don't know what's real. If they knew what was real, they'd treat you different. Do you know what's real? I do. Well, then treat them different. They have a phrase for that. It's called love your enemies. Why? Because you have no enemies. Why? Because they're living in a cave. They don't get it. They don't understand. Hopefully someday they will. How will they? Because you help show them. That's how they'll know. So you're working. You've been educated. The money drops. You see the money. You recognize that this poor little lady thinks that she has power over you. Why? Because she has money. She thinks she can treat you badly because she owns Maverick. Of course, you know full well that tonight, at midnight, if she flatlines, the fact that she owns Maverick and is worth tens of millions of dollars will mean nothing to her. Why? Because it ain't real. And the money drops. And you say to her, mean old lady who thinks you're better than me because you have money and power. Silly. You dropped your money. I don't need your money. I don't want your money. Because it ain't real anyway. What's real is what I am. Because the only power you'll ever have in your life is never power over others. We just answered Machiavelli's question about power. It's a joke. It's a joke. Of course, all of you know that. Your parents can't make you do anything. You will do X. No, I will not. What are they going to do? What are they going to do? They'll threaten you, and then you say, I don't care about your threat. You can't make me do what I don't want to do. By the way, your parents figured that out at a very young age, which is why parents are horrified to raise children. Because at some point they realize it. You got to make your own way. You got to make your own choices. You got to decide whether you're going to pick that money up and take it or give it back. That's you. That's totally on you. That makes parents very uncomfortable. They want to make those decisions for you. You'll know when you've grown up, when you don't need somebody to take your training wheels off. You can do it for yourself. Do it for yourself. I don't need you to take my training wheels off. I know what I need to do. I will do that. I will choose to do that because it's hard. It's painful. That's what I'm choosing. Final observation. Beautiful word picture, right? Check this out. Now you can ask a simple question. Not who are you? That's the ontological question, which is a fun one. But where are you? Watch this. You're one of three places. You're either in the cave, chained up, thinking shadows on a wall are real, and when somebody tries to tell you otherwise, you say, leave me alone, I want to go back and get chained up. Or you're in this process of being dragged out into the light. You're a little bit blind right now, but you know something good has happened because you got some serious pain and fear in your life and you're learning to overcome it. Or, here you are. You made it. You figured it out. Now the obvious question is, what do you do with that knowledge? Because you can't stand outside the cave and do high fives. No, your job's only halfway done. You got another job to do. You got to get back in there and go to work. Of course, what's the problem with that? You often end up jacked. Ask Martin Luther King Jr. about that. Or crucified. Or marginalized. Of course, what's fundamental about all of those truth bringers, every one of them, they're poets, aren't they? Do you remember in Lord of the Flies what happens when Simon comes running down the beach saying, I got great news, there's no beastie? Jack. Why? Because they were chained. Jack had them chained. They couldn't see what was real. And because they couldn't see what was real, they were blind. To that degree, we look at the world differently now. If we're no longer chained up. If we're on our way out of the cave. We look at the world different. We look at people different. Everybody is fighting. It's a famous Plato quote, be kind. Everybody's fighting their own battle. So true. So true. I mean, there's some serious wisdom going down here, right? Everybody's fighting their own battle. Everybody's somewhere in this story. That's the stupidest story I ever heard in my life. Yeah, sorry. I hope you figure it out someday. That's called Scrooge. Remember? He said it was all stupid. Christmas. Until the moment he saw his tombstone. Until the moment he looked at his life in the past and in the present. And then he started to look at that future and he went, oh, no. What's the first thing Scrooge does after he gets right? He goes and starts helping people. Why? Because he can see. Two kinds of sight. There's outside, I can see you sitting there looking at me, and there's inside, perspicacity. You get stuff, you understand stuff, and you're forever changed by it. Socrates says to Plato, enjoy your shopping at the mall, even though none of it's real. There is stuff that's real, and there's stuff that's not real. Your life of education is figuring that out. Who are the people that helped drag you out of this cave? You better tell them thank you before you graduate. Why not? Why not? Right? Show gratitude. Show respect. Show those cardinal virtues. Wisdom, courage, discipline, justice. And St. Augustine, who will come along later, will point out the three cardinal Christian virtues. Faith, hope, love. 4 plus 3 is 7. Number of perfection. Can you live those out? That's the point of your education. Dude, it's not to get a grade, it's not to graduate. It's to learn something about the way you see yourself in the world that you live in. And if you can do that, then you give the money back. Then you understand justice. Then you understand what it means to be alive. Because you live in a world that you're a part of, and we're all a part of it, no matter our race, our skin color, our religious preferences. I mean, all of that is secondary. We're all in this together. Why? Because we all have a soul, we all have a spirit, we all have a consciousness. We all have this energy that cannot be created or destroyed, which begs the question, then how come we're afraid to die if you can't kill energy? The whole process, of course, then of learning is an ongoing one. Lifelong learning is what Socrates and Plato would call it. Well, our final comments about Republic now are Book 8, 9, and 10. We'll come back to those comments as our last bit of Plato's Republic. Thank you.